Hi, everybody, and good morning. Welcome to our first Twitch live stream for my intro psych online classes. My name is Elisa Setmire, and I am your instructor. I see a bunch of you in the chat kind of getting logged in. This is Twitch if you've never been on here before. Before I get going, can you all hear me and see me okay? Hopefully everything is coming through fine. Could someone give me like a thumbs up or a yes or something in the chat if everything's coming through okay on your end? You're usually a few seconds behind me, but if someone could let me know, that would be fantastic. Sometimes the Wi-Fi here on campus isn't the best, so I will hope that everything is working. I'm gonna wait just a minute here just to make sure. Okay, good. Okay, I'm getting some yeses, so that's fantastic. Wonderful. Well, welcome. Again, this is Intro Psych. I have two sections of this, so a lot of you potentially joining me today, so thank you for being on here with me. What I want to do is just kind of introduce myself, introduce the class, make sure that you're all feeling as good as you can about everything we have going on. And I will be doing one of these each week as a way to check in with you, give you an opportunity for some extra credit, and then give you a chance to ask me any questions, go over the reminders for the week. This one will be the longest one of all of them just because I'm going to go over the format of the class. But after today, they'll typically be maybe like 25-30 minutes. And if you are watching this later, that's totally fine. They will always be recorded. So at any point during this, if you have questions or thoughts for me, your way to interact is through the chat. Otherwise, let's go over to Canvas and kind of take a look at our class, take a look at everything that we have going on. And if you have questions at any point, please feel free to ask. So this is our Canvas page right here, and you might be in this section or my other section. I have two that are going right now, and if you can make it to here, you're in really good shape. Everything is either on here or linked from here to our ebook site, and so here's our course webpage on Canvas, and you can see there's a little like start here, there's instructor contact information, help and campus resources, course documents and videos, and then you can see there's the 8 different weeks that we have for our semester, and everything is on these little links here. There's some reminders over here on the right hand side of what we have going on, kind of like your little to-do list. But if you can make it to here, you should be in good shape. So I just kind of want to walk you through this. You'll notice over on the left hand side there's some little links here with announcements, modules, grades, and so on. And so again, like I said, everything is either on here or on the ebook site, which I'll talk about a little bit later. So the best place to start is either right here where it says start here, or you can go over on the side, and let's start over here on this side so I can show you the syllabus and some of these materials. I've been teaching online now for about, I want to say 15 years or so. I'm a very meticulously organized person, so hopefully everything seems pretty clear and straightforward. If you ever have any questions, please feel free to email me. I'm here. I'm happy to help. So the first thing here is the syllabus. And if you haven't looked over this already, I would definitely recommend doing so. And I'm sorry, the internet feels like it's a touch slow, but like I said, on campus, the internet isn't always fantastic. So you can see on here the section information. My name is Elisa Setmire. You can call me Elisa, you can call me Setmire. I would say 90% of people call me Professor Setmire. My email, which is always the best way to get a hold of me. You could see the division information here, a description and some objectives. I'm going to skip down to right here where it says text and required materials. So make sure you look over like the objectives and stuff on your own. But you do need a textbook for this class, and I know that books are expensive. The one for this class is one that I actually wrote. It's called Psyched. And on the plus side of that, I was able to really keep the cost of it very low. I know $87 seems like a lot for an intro psych book, but the average intro psych books are like $200, $250. Like textbooks are just absurd all around. So I'm sorry that there is a little bit of a cost. If that is a problem for you, there are definitely some classes that are zero cost textbook classes, and you might look through the schedule. They're always notated on there so you can see that. So you're going to need to buy that book as soon as possible. There are some announcements about how to get there, how to register it, how to purchase it. If you haven't done that already, make sure you do it right away. You're also going to want to download your Canvas app and maybe even the Twitch app on like your phone or tablet or laptop. And you'll definitely need access to a computer with internet capacity since it is an online class. I have some recommendations here for like computer requirements, but as long as your computer's like within the last like 5+ years, or 5 or less years, I should say, you should probably be in pretty good shape. I have some codes of conduct and policies here. This whole class is online. But just because it's online doesn't mean we won't be interacting with each other. We will have these Twitch live streams where I'm going to be checking in with you and you can be commenting and stuff with me. We're going to be doing discussions online where you're interacting with each other in that way. So let's try and make sure we have a really like safe, inclusive environment for that. And so I have some stuff here on that, like, just kind of be honoring each other's worldviews, be really mindful of the stuff that you're saying in the discussions. I have some stuff here about late work and exam makeups. I want to give you a heads up that part of teaching this class for me is really focusing on also helping you to be a better like college student. And so I'm quite strict when it comes to like deadlines. Now the way the class is set up is you do have access to 2 weeks of material at any given time. So you have a little bit of flexibility, but you need to make sure you're meeting those deadlines. So when the week deadlines are up, it will be too late to turn in anything once the deadline is passed. So if you know that you have something going on, if something comes up for you, just make sure that you always reach out to me before the deadline if you would like any consideration of like an extension or anything like that. Like I know we're all people and stuff happens, so just make sure you reach out to me before a deadline if you ever are running into some issues. Please don't copy or cheat. Give me all your own beautiful creative work. There's some stuff here about Title IX and the smoking policy as well for you to kind of look over on your own. And then I have the different assignments and things that you will be responsible for this class. Just making sure you're all still with me. It looks like everything is okay on my end. Just making sure. There we go. So you have a little orientation that is due by tonight at 11:59 p.m. And the reason that I made that so soon is I want to make sure that you have your book, that you've registered it, that you've read through the syllabus, that you're up and you're going. I don't want you to fall behind. So make sure by tonight at 11:59 p.m. you've completed that mandatory orientation quiz on the ebook site. And I will show you that and we'll walk through that a little bit later. Notice that when you complete something on the ebook site, your grade doesn't automatically come over to Canvas. I wish that it did, but it doesn't. So as long as you see that it's done on there, then you're in good shape. So just make sure that you do complete that before tonight. A really big part of your grade are the discussions and little, think about them as almost like little mini papers. Every single week you're doing 2 discussions worth 15 points. So this adds up to a lot of points. It makes up a really big part of your grade. We'll take a look at those in a minute. You have a couple of little self-assessments that you'll do, kind of evaluating your effort and progress and grades in the class so far. There's a closing assignment that you'll do at the very end where you're kind of reflecting back over some stuff that we've covered. And then you do have 4 exams on the ebook site that you'll be taking, one every 2 weeks. And those items together make up your grade. You can see right here it's just based on points, and I gave you that breakdown. If any of you have a memo with access, get that to me as soon as you can so I can make sure that you're set up with the timing that you need or the services that you need in order to be successful. There's also some stuff here about like student tech support, college information, just a bunch of links in case you need a little bit more information. And then after that, what you'll see here is it's just the course schedule. So you can see weeks number 1 and 2, which opened up on Monday and close on the 25th. You can see all the things you're responsible for weeks 1 and 2, and then 3 and 4, 5 and 6, 7 and 8, and so on. Someone asked, when will the mandatory quiz grades be uploaded? So typically once the deadline has passed for something, at that point I'll bring the grades over. So likely tomorrow what I'll do is bring all of the scores over into Canvas. For example, when weeks 1 and 2 close on the 25th, I'll do all of the grading on the 26th, and I'll bring those scores over. So if you don't see it before the deadline, don't worry, that's totally normal. But once the deadline has passed, typically that next day, I'll bring all of the scores over and you'll see them in Canvas. Yep, and the quiz for that is in the ebook, and I'll show you that in a little bit, but it's up here where it says exams, and we'll go over that in a few minutes when we get there. Then, as I mentioned, so you have access to 2 weeks of material at a time. Everything from weeks 1 and 2 is due by the 25th, that's Sunday night the 25th at 11:59 p.m., except for that orientation quiz, which is due tonight, which again is my way of making sure that you've started, you got your book, and you're going on all of the materials. So make sure you look over the syllabus. Our class officially began on Monday. It ends Friday, October 4th at 11:59 p.m. And it's not self-paced in the sense that you can't work ahead, but you can have a little bit of flexibility. So if you know that next week is going to be a really busy week for you, try and get everything from weeks 1 and 2 done this week, or vice versa. If next week is really light, you can wait till next week to do weeks 1 and 2, except for that mandatory orientation quiz, which again is due by tonight. So you have the syllabus here at the top of those modules that are posted. You have a little welcome letter that I sent out last week and then on Monday. Here's where you can find the information about the textbook. So if you click on this link, the book is an ebook because everything for us is an online format. And so you'll need to make sure you have this book purchased today. Here's the purchase link. As I mentioned, it's $87, which I know is a little bit restrictive. Books are expensive, but it really is very affordable compared to a lot of other intro psych books. So what you'll do is you'll purchase your copy of the book and then you'll register it. I have all of those directions here on Canvas for you. And then you'll be able to access the chapters and the book and all of that kind of stuff, which we'll look at in a moment. Underneath that, there's some information on how to register and access your ebook, a little bit about discussions. I made a little video overview. I have some stuff here about like frequently asked questions that people have asked me over the years. I put them all together as a way for you, like if you're struggling or confused about something. There's a little student lounge that I made if you guys would like, if you all would like to talk to each other a little bit in the form of like a discussion. How to find me on Twitch and YouTube, which I'll talk more about later. Technology assistance, Canvas, right? How to find your grades. I put together quite a few resources for you here as a way to just kind of help you if you're feeling confused. So if you're not sure on something, it's probably here, or you can of course always email me. Once you've gone through all of that, then you can go through the mandatory orientation lecture and quiz, and then there's a little introductions discussion as well. Let's look at the orientation lecture together. And again, I'll talk more today than any other day. I just want to make sure that you're feeling comfortable and good. If you have questions at any point, please feel free to ask me. But I made this little mandatory orientation lecture as a way to kind of introduce you to the class. And what you'll notice at the top of every lecture is you can also listen to it, right? So if you would rather listen to me reading it to you, that is an option. You'll also notice there's 5 tabs up here at the top. Every one of the lectures I give you is like a 5-tab format, so make sure you click on each one of them. But you're going to want to listen to or read the subsequent pages. You're going to want to complete that mandatory orientation quiz, which I'll show you in a little bit. Find me on YouTube and subscribe. Find me and subscribe on Twitch. And I have some instructions for you on how to do this with Twitch for free. So I really don't want you paying money for this. You're of course welcome to subscribe by paying. But if anyone in your family has an Amazon Prime account, you can actually subscribe for free. And I would love for you to subscribe. It really makes my life a million times easier. So you'll notice that I'll remind you each week about that. But when you subscribe on Twitch, you get a notification anytime I'm online. You can, I can track your attendance, which selfishly is a huge time saver for me. So whenever you're on there, I can monitor that and download that. You can privately chat with me. You get less ads. There'll be like 1 ad in the beginning and that's it. And probably the most fun of all, you get a little football cake next to your name. It kind of looks like a hamburger, but it's a football cake. So if you have the ability to go through and do that, I would really appreciate it. It's good for 30 days and then you just have to renew it. But if you follow, I have some instructions here and a video. It's like step by step of how to do that. I would really appreciate it if you could figure that out. Thank you. And YouTube is much more intuitive and fast. Find me on YouTube. I'll post a lot of videos on there. I have a lot of videos in general. And if you can find me on those two platforms, it'll make your life easier. The second page talks a little bit about how the course is organized. So every week you'll be doing 2 chapters from the textbook and 2 discussions. There's a lecture and a lecture video for each one of them, and we'll take a look at that together in a moment. You'll have 2 discussions every week on Canvas. Every 2 weeks you'll take an exam on the chapters for those 2 weeks. There'll be a couple of self-assessments and then a closing assignment at the end. So I have everything compiled under their week. So if you're looking at weeks 1 and 2, you'll see that everything for weeks 1 and 2 is together. So just make sure you're completing everything that's there, or you can reference the syllabus if you want to make sure. Good morning, a couple of people joining late. That's totally fine, and thank you for being here. And please know that these will always be recorded. So if you have a class or if you can't make it live, you can still get the extra credit for watching them and participating if you're subscribed on Twitch. So if you could figure that out, you can still get those points for doing so. The next page is a little bit about me. As I mentioned, my name is Elisa Setmire. You're welcome to call me Elisa or Setmire or Professor Setmire. I'm a huge football fan. I love the fall. I have 3 little girls. I have 6 pets. I have a dog and 5 cats. I'm a huge fan of escape rooms and the outdoors. I absolutely love Halloween. I gave you a couple of shows that I really love to watch. I think I'm 2 episodes away from the finale of House of the Dragon. That's what I'm watching right now. But please read through this. It's just a little bit about my background and who I am, just to give you a little bit more about the person teaching this class. The next page is a little bit about like computer and internet settings. So if you are struggling with your computer not working or like pop-ups not working, I gave you a little bit of information here on how to maybe fix that. And the last page is all about help, right? So I'm always here. You can always email me. But if you're struggling with Canvas, here's a phone number for Canvas. If you're having a hard time with your book order, here is their email and phone number. If you're struggling with like something after you've registered and purchased the book, here is their web support email. And of course, always reach out to me if you're struggling. This class does move kind of quickly. It's only 8 weeks. So it's really important if you're struggling or you have something going on, just reach out to me and I'll do whatever I can to try and help. But I gave you some kind of help numbers and links and things like that on here in case you're still struggling. But once you've finished reading through the mandatory orientation lecture, once you have read the syllabus, you've found me on Twitch and YouTube and subscribed, which you're welcome to do right now as we're going through this. That's totally fine. Then you can head over to the ebook site and look at that. And everything is either on this ebook site or here on Canvas. So between those 2 platforms, that's where you're going to find all of our information. And it'll open up with a little welcome page. I did make a little video here, kind of a little video overview of the ebook site. And you'll notice that I wrote this book. So I hope you find it kind of approachable. It's something it took me years to do, but it allowed me to keep the price of the book really, really low. And everything is very linked and connected to each other, which I hope you feel and see on your end. So there's a little welcome here and a video. You can also see, here's where all the chapters for the book can be found. So you should be reading the chapters as we go through. So this week we're looking at chapters 1 and 2. And so what you'll notice if it loads here in a minute, again, moving slow, here are all the chapter links. And so, for example, if you click on chapter 1, it'll bring up that chapter. In an ideal world, you read the chapter kind of before you do the lectures and videos and so on. But it's kind of up to you to figure out whatever order makes sense to you. For me, I like to read the chapter first as like a little preview. And then after that, I might do like the lecture and then the lecture video. But you'll see if you scroll through this, there's like a little outline, there's some objectives. It'll always start with a summary, and then it just jumps right into the chapter, right? And you can see there's pictures on here. All these little things that are in bold are key terms that are defined at the end. There's little like boxes and like apply it things. I always end with like in pop culture and a link to my YouTube channel if you want to watch a video that connects. and then how could you apply it. And then down at the bottom, you can see all the key terms for the chapter are defined down here as well. So make sure that you're reading the chapters as you go along, and there's little like quick links to them up here at the top. There's some additional resources that are on here if you would like to use them. You don't have to, but I have some little things in here like some little flashcards, some test yourself activities. If you were taking this with me in person, the PowerPoints might be helpful, but they're there for you just in case you might like them. The big thing that you'll find on here are the exams. So all exams, including the mandatory orientation quiz, are here on the ebook site. And so this is where you'll be taking them. And then remember, your scores don't come over automatically, but I will bring them over once the deadline has passed. And so for example, here are the instructions, and then you'll begin your attempt. So with the mandatory orientation quiz, you have 15 minutes. It's very short, just 10 questions. And let's open that and take a look at it together. And then when we get to the exams, you'll notice they're down here. And I'll talk about exam number 1 next week in our next live stream. So let's worry about the orientation quiz for the moment. So when you're ready and you have good internet and a quiet place and you've read through everything, you'll click on Begin Your Attempt. And then we wait for it patiently to load. And again, if you have any questions at any point as I'm going through this, please feel free to put them in the chat. But you'll notice up here, there's a 15-minute time limit for this little mandatory orientation quiz. And there'll be a little timer that loads here eventually up here in the corner. So just be really mindful of your time. If you don't know the answer to a question, you can skip it and come back to it. You'll see that there's 10 questions. So for example, this course is self-paced. You can work ahead through the semester at your own pace. That is false, right? And then you'll hit Save Answer. And once you've saved it, it turns like an orange or gold color. Which of the following is not true about your instructor? I most definitely do not hate football. Save answer. And then let's see you get to number 3 and you're like, oh no, I don't know the answer to this. I've got to have to like think about it, or I'm going to have to go find it. You can always skip a question by just clicking ahead. So let's say I don't know that the best way to contact me is their email. I can skip to number like 4 or 6 or whatever, and it turns like a gray color. Just make sure that everything is that orange gold color before you hit I'm finished, submit for a grade. And when you're done, you'll hit submit. It will give you a score right away. Remember, it doesn't come over to Canvas, but it will give you a score. There's kind of like a little temporary grade book on the ebook site that you can keep track with until it comes into Canvas. You can see the ones that you got right and wrong. All of them will show up here. And so just make sure that you do complete that quiz before tonight. I'm going to put that here in the chat. Be sure to complete the mandatory orientation quiz before tonight at 11:59 p.m. as that is that first reminder. So if you don't complete it by tonight, you'll get an email from me tomorrow with like a drop warning. A couple of you have already reached out to me about like struggles with purchasing the book or registering it, but please try and get that done before tonight, and then tomorrow you will see those scores in Canvas. So the ebook site is mainly where you're going to be reading all the chapters, you're going to be completing your exams. There are a couple of little resources on there, but those are the big things that you can find on the ebook site. Everything else will be on Canvas. So once you've completed that mandatory orientation lecture and quiz, there's a little introduction discussion to help me get to know you, and then you can start week number 1. And I know I'm talking a ton. I'm trying to kind of go quickly through it. Are there any questions or anything so far, anything about the ebook site, about the mandatory orientation lecture or quiz, anything at all before I talk about week number 1? Yep. Someone said, after, could you help me access the book? So when you purchase the book, you should get an email. And hopefully, I don't know if you saw this page up here where it says purchasing, registering, and accessing the book. It has like step-by-step instructions. But once you purchase it, you should get an email and you'll register it. And then it takes you to this page where you click right here where it says like play, and then that will take you to the ebook site. So sometimes that throws people off. Yeah, someone said, did you make an account? So once you get your book, you get that email, then you're going to register it. Make sure you pick your correct section. So some of you are in 79921. and some of you are in 79927. So you'll register your book, and then you click on that little like play button right here, and it's going to take you to the ebook site. So that's really all that I can unfortunately do to help you. If you're still really struggling, there is that page at the end of the mandatory orientation lecture with a phone number and email, or hopefully maybe someone can help you a little bit through here as well. So I hope that helps. Again, there's lots of resources on here. That little page takes you through step by step how to do that. Once you make your account, you should be able to access it and go from there. Okay. Otherwise, once you've done all of that, then you'll start week number 1. And you'll notice that there's 2 chapters that you're responsible for this week and 2 chapters every week. So I'm really big on consistency, and hopefully what that will do is allow you to know what to expect. So 2 weeks are open to you right now, weeks 1 and 2. And so for this week, I'm going to focus on week 1 since that's where we're at. And then next week, I'll focus on week 2 and those materials. So week number 1, you're reading chapter 1 and chapter 2. And there's 3 things to do for each chapter. So 1, you're going to want to read the chapter in the ebook. 2, you'll go through the chapter lecture. And 3, watch the lecture video. So the lecture has the same format as the mandatory orientation lecture. So it has those 5 little tabs for you. And so what you'll notice, page 1 is always going to be like objective and summary. And again, as always, you can listen to it if you would rather listen to me reading to it. If you miss the sound of my voice, page 2 is going to be beyond the book. So anytime I give you a video, watch it. If there's a link, click on it. All of these things together are going to help you to understand the content. Page 3, in pop culture, so some suggestions about shows or movies or magazines or books, things that connect to our topic. Page 4 is always going to be key terms, so these are the terms you need to know for the exam. And then the last page will always be application. Now that you've read through it, how could you apply this to your life? To your life in some way. So make sure you click on any links I give you. Make sure that you are exploring everything that's on there. And you'll do that for both chapters. So for chapter 1 and chapter 2. Make sure that you also watch the lecture video. These are me lecturing to PowerPoint slides, kind of like if you were to take the class with me in person. And I see your message. Some of you sent me a message through Canvas. Great. I will try to get to that a little bit later. So you can see here's the lecture, and you'll watch that and hopefully take notes to it. And then finally, you'll do the same thing for chapter 2. So once you've read through and watched the videos and done all of that, you can do discussion 1 and discussion 2. And so discussions are, again, a big part of your grade. And they follow the same format every week. So you'll notice here are the instructions, and then a video, and then my prompt. Okay, and it'll follow that same like appearance every single week. So you'll watch my little introduction video. Make sure that in your responses to my questions, you're thinking about them like a mini paper. So be detailed, show off your knowledge and understanding of the materials. Think about them as mini papers. It's always better to give me too much than not enough, especially in the beginning, so you don't lose points. You're also going to read through a minimum of like 5 of your classmates' responses and reply to one of them. So watch my videos. Some of them are a little older, like you see my hair is all short here, and I need to update a few of them. Some of them are newer. But what I do is kind of walk you through the prompt and give you some suggestions and so on. And then here you'll see my prompt underneath it, right? So you're going to read through this, and then these are the questions that you'll answer by hitting reply. And really, again, better to give me too much than not enough. So think about them as like a mini paper. Show off your knowledge and understanding. These are worth 13 points for your responses to my questions, and then 2 points for your response to a peer. So you can see here a few of you have already done this, which is fantastic. So let's say I really like the way that Devin talked about nature and nurture. I would hit reply, and then I'm going to reply to at least one person to get those 2 points. So discussion 1 is related to chapter 1, and then you'll see the same thing for discussion number 2. Follows that same format, same style. So when you click on discussion 2 and it opens up, you'll see my instructions, the video, and then the prompt, right? So again, kind of going with that consistency so that you hopefully get comfortable and know what to expect. This week is definitely the hardest because it's the first one, but hopefully it'll start to get a little more familiar and comfortable. Every week there will be an extra credit question that I give you as part of this live stream, which we'll get to in a few minutes. And every week I will post the recording of the live stream a couple of hours after it's done. So once we finish, I do like a download and upload, and I'll post that video here on YouTube so you can watch it later. If you're watching this as a recording, or if you're not able to make it live, you can still answer the extra credit question I'm going to give you right here on Canvas for points, as long as you're subscribed on Twitch. So if you know that you can't make it to these streams every week, or you're going to miss one, just make sure you subscribe on Twitch, follow those instructions and do that, and then you can still get those points. I didn't want to punish those of you who have classes or work or family or whatnot. So that way you can still get those points. And again, I really appreciate those of you who go through that step. It saves me a lot of time. I teach 7 classes. I have 3 kids, so I'm coaching multiple sports teams for them. So anything that saves time is always super helpful. So thank you for that. I think those are some of the big things for this week. 2 next week on Wednesday. What I'll do is I'll talk about the requirements. We'll spend a bunch of time going over exam number 1 and what to expect and how to be successful. But for now, are there any questions at all about week number 1, about the discussions, about anything about the mandatory orientation quiz? Yes, so our schedule is every Wednesday at 11:30. And there might be a week or 2 in there where if the technology doesn't cooperate or something comes up, I have to change it. But it should be Wednesdays at 11:30, which I sent out in that announcement. I believe it was last week. So you can count on that every Wednesday, yep, at 11:30. And again, if you can't make it, that's totally fine. You can watch the recording. And as long as you're subscribed, you can still answer the questions I'll give you on here each week and get those 2 points. And those 2 points will add up, right? It might make up for a missed discussion or maybe a couple of points off on a test. So I think they give you a good opportunity not only to check in with me and get some reminders and ask questions, but hopefully also to get a couple of bonus points. Okay. So I do have a couple of reminders for you before we call it a day. So the first one, I had typed this up, so I'm just going to put it here in the chat. Don't forget to take a little bit of time to find me on YouTube and Twitch and subscribe. Let's see, if I can't access the book by the deadline. Yeah, so the deadline for tonight is obviously tonight for the ebook and for that mandatory orientation quiz. If you're struggling, if something has gone wrong, just make sure you reach out to me about it ahead of time, and I can still work with you to give you a little bit more time. As long as you don't reach out to me tomorrow and be like, I didn't do it, then it will be too late. If you reach out to me today, then that's we can still work on that together. So reminder 1 is to find me on Twitch and YouTube. The second reminder, our next Twitch live stream will be on Wednesday, August 21st at 11:30 a.m. All right, so that is our next Twitch live stream. It'll be next Wednesday at 11:30. I hope you can join me, but again, if you can't, it will be recorded. And here is where you can find those recordings. There will be under each week. So there's nothing there yet, but later today I will download the video and you'll be able to find it. It will be a YouTube link, which maybe is a little bit easier to navigate. So that will be up there a little bit later today. The other thing that I have for you before I see you, I'll typically end with some time for questions, especially today. But the other thing that I have for you is let me give you that extra credit question. So if you're joining me live, you can answer this after today. Just make sure you put your name in the chat if you're not subscribed, or if you are, you don't have to worry about it. But here is the week number 1. I'm not great at typing and talking. I've learned this about myself. So here's the week number 1 Twitch extra credit question. So I'm going to put it here in the chat, and then I'll show you where you can go to answer that. So in order to get the extra credit, you're either joining me live and then go and answer this question, or you're watching this later and you're subscribed and then you go and answer this question. So the week number 1 question, what does the phrase correlation versus causation mean? Describe and give an example. What does the phrase correlation versus causation mean? Describe and give an example. So when you're ready to answer that, you'll head to Canvas. And since we're in week 1, you're going to click on optional Twitch extra credit number 1 right here. And then up at the top, there's going to be a little box that says start assignment. And here are the instructions. If you forget, you can see the instructions right here and how to find me on Twitch and YouTube and all of that. But you'll click on Start Assignment and it brings up this little text box where you can type your response. And you have all the way until the end of weeks 1 and 2 to complete this. So next Sunday night at 11:59 p.m. And when you're done, you'll hit submit and it gives you like a little confetti burst. And sometimes there's random stuff in the confetti. Like today, let's see, what's it going to be? Confetti and presents. Very exciting. And I grade these kind of sporadically, but at the very least, they will be graded once the deadline has passed. But you have all the way until August 25th to answer this. So make sure you take advantage of being here with me live and get those points, or watching this later if you're subscribed. You can still do that as well. So big things to remember for now. Before tonight, make sure you purchase your copy of the ebook, get it purchased, copied, and registered and all of that stuff. And then complete the mandatory orientation quiz to get those points. And then get started on week number 1 and week number 2. Find me on those platforms, read through everything, get going. This class does move a little quickly, right? So if something comes up, if you're struggling, just make sure you reach out to me before the deadline, and I'm more than happy to work with you. As I mentioned, I'm a little strict. If you reach out to me after the deadline, it's going to be too late. So just make sure you really think ahead. If something comes up, I'm more than willing to work with you. Just make sure you reach out before rather than later. So I think that's everything I wanted to share. Again, this will by far be the longest stream that we have all semester. Typically, you can count on like 25 minutes or so. But are there any questions or comments, thoughts, anything for me at all? If you have any, you can put them in the chat, and I'm more than happy to answer them. Otherwise, that is it for our time. We are officially done. And so you're welcome to go ahead and go and get going on this week. If you think of anything later, feel free to email me. If you think of something now, put it in the chat. Thank you, Jonathan. You just figured that out. So yeah, please try and figure out the subscription thing. If you have Amazon Prime, don't pay for it. Please try not to pay for it if you don't have to. Otherwise, I hope you all have a wonderful week. I hope your classes are going well. Welcome to our class. And I'm going to hang out for a few minutes if you do have any questions, but I'm going to minimize my video just so I'm not staring at myself. But thank you so much for those of you who joined me live. I'm going to put that in the chat here. Thank you. Have a wonderful week. And I will hang out for a little bit if you do have any questions. Otherwise, I will hope to see you next week for our week number 2 live stream. And I am still here. As I mentioned, I will hang out for a little bit if you do have any questions for me. Otherwise, like I said, I will hope to see you next week. And thank you so much for all of you who joined me live or who are watching this later as a recording. You too. Have a wonderful Wednesday, wonderful week. And I'll hope to see you next week for week number 2. And we'll talk about the exam and all that kind of stuff next week. Bye. Thank you. Oh, I like the logo. Is that a frog? I love it. Thank you. Thank you for joining me live. Have a wonderful week, everyone. Good luck with all your first days and first classes, and I hope everything goes smoothly. You're welcome. Thank you so much for being on here. See you next week. And I'll hang out for a few more minutes if any of you have questions, and then I do have another class on here at 12:30. So don't be thrown if you see me back on here. That's for a different class. And as I mentioned, I am still here if you have any other questions for a couple more minutes, and then I will probably log off from there to get ready for the next one. to go ahead and log off and start the upload download process. Have a wonderful week. And if you think of any questions, feel free to